Mrs. Sadeghi, can you hear me?
Yes, Dr. Shahmadi, we have your voice at the room and your video as well.
Okay, thank you. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Hello, everybody. I'm Leila Shahmoradi, Associate Professor of Tehran University of Medical Sciences and Head of the Medical Library and Information Sciences Department. This department, located in a School of Allied Medical Sciences, there are some departments in this school like Health Information Management Department, Laboratory Sciences Department, Hematology Department, Radiology and Radiotherapy Department, Operating Room Technology, and Anesthesia Department. Dr. Hossein Dehdari is instructor of this webinar. He is Assistant Professor in the Medical Library and Information Sciences Department. Dr. Fatemeh Sheikh-Shai is another professor in this department who is attending in this webinar as a facilitator. Her mobile number and email address are given for communication about certification of the webinar. Please fill the form if you want to get certification. Objective of this webinar is to provide necessary information about finding a suitable journal for publishing your manuscript. As you know, after doing a research, the most important step, and maybe the last step, is to publish result of the research. By publishing, it will be available for everyone to read it. If you cannot publish the results of your research, in this case, it seems you have not done that research. Therefore, it is important to be able to publish results of your research so that it can be available for everyone. A manuscript can be published or present in various places, such as congresses, classrooms, magazines or journals, websites, or anywhere else to be available to interested parties. Publishing your manuscript in a scientific journal is probably the best way. Manuscripts in journals are judged by field experts, and they are accepted for publishing if we correct scientifically and methodologically. We often see many students that their manuscript is rejected by journals despite doing a very good research and writing a good manuscript. There are several reasons for this problem. One of them is related to choosing the journal. You should select a journal based on manuscript subject and quality of your research. Another criteria like types of articles or research, free of charge or not, and what are your indexation preference, like Scopus, PubMed, SCI, or another databases. In this webinar, you can get knowledge about these criteria. And also, you can find the answers of questions like this. What are the criteria for selecting a scientific journal? In which journals is more likely to be published my manuscript? Are there any computerized systems that can help me to select a suitable journal or not? Some journal finders has been developed by publishers like Elsevier. In this webinar, you can learn how to use these computerized systems. Surely, this webinar can be useful for all students, researchers, and professors. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for your participation in this webinar. I am Dr. Sheikh-Shai. As Dr. Shahmoradi said, I am Assistant Professor in Medical Library and Information Sciences in Tehran University of Medical Sciences and a facilitator in this webinar. As you know, it has happened a lot for all of us that we submit our paper to some journals, and after a long time, this journal says, this paper is not in our scope. This process wastes our time, and it is very crucial when we are in hurry. For example, you are a PhD student and you must publish 2 papers from your thesis, and as defense condition, it wastes your time and makes you nervous. In this webinar, Dr. Dehtari would like to present you some useful information about how you can choose a right journal for publish your paper. And save your time. He has worked on this topic as his PhD thesis, and has designed a journal recommender system for Persian journals. In this webinar, he introduced some international recommender systems for helping you to choose the right journal. I don't take your time, and let's listen to Dr. Dehtari lecture. Before that, if you have any question, you can type it on chat box of Zoom application, or if you would like to ask your question orally, at the end of the webinar, we put a time for question and answer at this time. Please raise your hands, and at the end of the webinar, and webinar manager unmute your microphone and you can ask your question. Thank you again.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Hossein Dehdari Rad. I'm a PhD in Medical Library and Information Science. I'm glad to be here in this webinar. Today, I'm going to discuss about how we can find the right journal for our research. Okay. Can you see my slide? Thank you. At the beginning, I want to give you some information about the importance of selecting the right journal for your research, and also I want to talk about this rejection concept. After that, I'm going to speak about some important tips and points that we should take into consideration in the process of choosing the right journal. And after that, I want to talk about how we can find a journal, and will provide some ways to find journals in different subject area. Okay. As you know, one of the requirements of being successful for researcher, academics, and students in their career or professional career is to publish scientific works. On the other hand, universities and scientific institutions usually use the number of publications as an indicator to give credibility to individuals. In this context, there is a concept that called publish or perish. This concept is demonstrated pressure to publish academic works in order to succeed in an academic career. So in this situation, we can see a growing interest in publishing scientific articles and according to data from the Scopus database, from 1992 to 2002, 12 million papers have been published, and it should be noted that this number has doubled between 2003 to 2013. So there are a lot of papers and a lot of publication venues to publish these papers. Well, with this growing, selecting the right venue for publication becomes more and more difficult. There are lots of publication venues that you can publish your research report on them, such as journals, conferences, books, or something else. Journals are one of the main channels for scientific communication, and one of the main goals of this channel is to disseminate scientific information with high quality. Okay, well, you have collected your data and your information, or completed your study. You have written your paper. Now what? One of the process that researchers deal with to publish their manuscript is choosing the right journal to submit their manuscript. The process of finding the relevant journals and selecting the right one for publishing research findings require skills in this area. However, not all researchers have this skill. So one of the common problems among researchers, especially inexperienced or novice researcher, is the confusion in choosing the right journal to submit their manuscript, and this makes problems for researchers due to the wide range of journal with a wide range of topics, and also articles covering different subject areas or professionals' specialties. It should be noted that prior to deciding on selecting a journal, make sure you have had the paper read and critiqued by your colleagues and associates, and then consider their feedbacks very carefully and make the changes where you see fit. Okay, before submitting a manuscript to a journal, authors need to ensure that the manuscript is thematically consistent with the target journal. This is important to avoid unnecessary delays in the manuscript acceptance process. And you should to know that journal editors-in-chief usually decide on the relevance of the manuscript in the first place. According to the literature, about 20 to 30% of submitted manuscript to a journal were classified as out of scope for a journal. And we have another studies that showed that one of the main reasons for rejecting manuscript is the lack of thematic relevance of the manuscript to the aims and scope of the journal. Here are two articles on the reasons for rejecting articles and some solutions for it that you can refer to and get some more information about it. And I provided the bibliographic information of these articles, and you can find relevant articles and read about this issue. Great. This is another study that you can refer to and get some more information about it. In this slide, I want to talk about desk rejection. Actually, desk rejection means the editors reject the paper without consulting the reviewers. This is done for papers that fail to meet the submission requirements and which hence cannot be accepted. The easiest and the quickest way to get your manuscript instantly rejected is to write about something that the journal doesn't publish. Some of the most important reasons for the immediate rejection of the article or desk rejection or fast rejection are shown here. The first reason is to fail the technical screening, which refer to things like missing file, wrongly formatted file, failure figures of insufficient resolution, or missing data or information. The second one is your manuscript doesn't fall within the aims and scope of the journal, which is the most important reason for this rejection, and it's perhaps the most common amongst manuscripts submitted by inexperienced or novice researchers. This means that you haven't properly matched your manuscript to a journal topic. The third one is the research topic is of little significance, and your paper doesn't have any novelty and contribution and does not advance the field, or the study is small and is a part of a larger study. Another reason that increase the risk of desk rejection is that the manuscript is not written very well. This is very common between non-English authors. Remember to give your manuscript to a native person to check it for grammar, spelling, format, and style before submitting your manuscript. You should know that desk rejection may take several days or weeks. And so, as mentioned, the wrong choice of journal leads to the manuscript is not peer reviewed and accepted, and which ultimately waste time and cost. It is important that authors should have a list of potential journals to submit their excuse me. Okay. It is important that authors should have a list of potential journals to submit their manuscript, so that if the first journal rejects the manuscript, the author will be able to submit the manuscript to another journal immediately. Okay, in this part, I want to talk about some important tips and points in the process of selecting the right journal for your manuscript. It should be noted that these tips and points doesn't have any priorities to each other, and you can make a checklist. You can make a checklist of these tips and check each candidate journals with this checklist. The first point is journal aims and scope. Before submitting a manuscript to a journal, authors need to read author needs to read aims and scope section or author guideline of the journal. And ensure that the subject of the article is consists with the aims and scope of the journal. It is worth noting that some journals don't clearly define their aims and scope, and this makes it difficult to determine the relevancy of the paper and the journal. It's difficult to determine the relevancy of the paper and the journal aims and scope. In this situation, you can review some previous issues of the journals and read some titles and abstracts of recent published articles in that journal. Or you can search between the previous published paper of the journal. This will give you an idea of what the journal is all about and what topics the journal has focused on. This is the web page of Journal of Telemedicine and Telecare. You can usually find and see the aim and scope section under the about or about journal or journal info menu of the journal website. And after find the aim and scope, you can see this part. And before submitting your article, it is necessary to read carefully this section to get sure about the topic of the journal. Another way to know more about the subject of the journal is to review the recent papers for finding the article, for finding the archive and previous published articles in each journal. You can usually find it in browse articles section or archive section or volumes and issues or something like that in the web page of a journal. Here I provided a back file of this journal you can easily browse the previous issue, and if you want to see articles in each issue, you can easily click on the issue, and after that you can see the articles. I selected issue 5, and this is the articles in this issue. You can see these titles and or abstract of this article, and make sure about the topic of the journal. As I mentioned, another way to figure out the thematic of the journal is to search specific keywords in the journal articles. Journal website usually provide some search facilities to the users for finding a specific article. This option could help to the users to find some related article to their manuscript, and they can be ensuring that their manuscript fits with the journal aims and scope. But you should know that the database search capabilities are usually more powerful than journal website search. We have a limitation in journal search. Some of journal doesn't have advanced search, and for this journal you can use database capabilities and facilities to help you to find a relevant article with your manuscript. Researcher can also search for articles in journal index in database such as Scopus. For example, I want to find all documents of the Journal of the Telemedicine and Telecare in the Scopus database. I wrote the name of the target. Journal in the field and limited to the source title field, and finally I click search. If I want to find document of a journal, a specific journal, you can write the name of journal and limit it to the source title in Scopus database, and this database shows you a list of documents of that journal. Here is the list of published documents of this journal. As you can see, I retrieve all documents of the selected journal, and I can easily review the documents that this journal published, as shown in the the number of retrieved documents is so much, and it is better to review and read some recent published papers. For example, you can see you can limit it by the year, or 2020, 21, or 2020. Now I want to check out if the Journal of Telemedicine and Telecare published any article about mobile phone and a stroke. Picture shows us this, the screen shows us the strategy of how to do that. In the source title, I wrote the name of the journal, and I I wrote the keywords, my desired keyword in this field, and limited to the article title, abstract, and keyword for subject searching in this database. Well, as you can see, this journal has published 2 articles with this search strategy. I can see these articles and check if they are relevant to my manuscript or not, and this helped me to get sure about the topic of the journal. Okay, the next point is the audience of your manuscript. You should consider that who is your article audience. The audience of your manuscript may be a specialized group or a general group, which means your manuscript includes several disciplines and a wider range of topics. For a journal that publish specialized topics, the number of received articles is less than general journals, and the acceptance rate may be higher. But on the other hand, since the reviewers of such journals have high expertise in the relevant field, more care should be taken for submitting your paper. The manuscript that their topics are limited to a local problem, usually suitable for publication in the journal and the language of that country. For example, it is better to consider a research about a small group in a city like Tehran to publish in the journal of this country, Iran, and in Persian journals. But for international issues, English language journals are a good option. The next point is quality of manuscript. Quality of a manuscript is another important point which should be considered as the author of a paper. As the author of the paper, you should determine the quality of your research. If the quality is good, submit your manuscript to a high quality journal. But if the quality of your work is weak, it's appropriate to submit it and submit it to a low-level journal to be considered by the low-level journal. It's not a good idea to submit your paper to high-quality journal when your paper doesn't have this quality, because it takes time. It takes a lot of time to prepare your work for a journal, submission process, initial reviewing, and so on. And this will make the article and its data get out of date. It is important to have a clear idea about the different types of articles that you can publish in the journals. If you have a target journal in your mind, you should check whether it publishes the kind of article you have written. Some article type are original article, review article, case report, randomized control trial, letters, and meta-analysis. Peer review is another tip, and peer review is independent assessment of your research paper by experts in your field. Its purpose is to evaluate the manuscript's quality and suitability for publication. Peer-reviewed journals usually have high quality, and articles in these journals have been reviewed by the editors, editorial board member, and subject specialties. The referring guidelines and policies section of the journal describes how to review and evaluate manuscript. The most common peer review types used by journals and publishers are single blind, double blind, triple blind, and open peer review. Single blind model in this type, usually the reviewers know that you are the author of the article, but you don't know the identities of the reviewers. In a double blind model, the reviewers don't know that you are the author of the article, and you don't know who the reviewers are either. In triple blind, reviewers are anonymous, and the author's identity is unknown to both the reviewers and the editor. Articles are anonymized. Articles are anonymized at the submission stage and are handled in such a way to minimize any potential bias towards the author. Open peer review, in open peer review, when the open peer review is when both the reviewers and the authors are known to each other during the peer review process. This is an example of a peer review model. As you can see, the Journal of BMJ case reports has a single blind peer review, and you can see this information in journal information. And the names of, as you can see, the names of reviewers are hidden from the author. Another journal is the BMJ Quality and Safety Journal, has a triple blind peer review, and I showed that in the screen. Triple blind, the handling editor, reviewer, and author are anonymous to each other. In this example, I showed you the BMJ Open Journal has an open peer review. As you can see, reviewer and author are known to each other, and also reviews are published online. Journal index is considered as a reflection of its quality, and index journals are considered to be of a higher scientific quality as compared to non-index journals. And reliable journals are usually indexed in reputable databases such as Web of Science, Scopus, PubMed, or Embase. And the more databases index a journal, the better is the visibility of its articles, and it increases the chance of getting cited by other researchers. Usually in the web page of each journal, this information can be seen in the indexing and abstracting section. For example, in this slide, you can see information about where the scientometrics journal is abstracted and indexed. As you can see, there are a lot of databases, and the most important is Scopus. Here, Scopus and Science Citation Index expanded for Web of Science, or a Social Science Citation Index. Journal publisher, the publisher of the journal is important factor in choosing the journal. More reputable and high quality journals are published by well-known publishers, and in this regard, these reputable journals can be identified from fake journals. Here is the name of some reputable publisher. For example, Elsevier, Ashbringer, Taylor and Francis, Sage, Wiley, Emerald, or Walter and Kluwer. And you can see this information in the page of the journal. Another tips is journal editors, journal editorial boards member. You have to see this information. It is important that the editor and the editorial boards should be well known in the subject area of the journal. It is better that editorial members not be from the same institution and region, and should be from different geographical locations, and this information may help us to identify valid and reliable journals from fake journals. It is worth to note that this information should be presented on the page of the journal. Quantitative measures such as the impact factor, CITE score, eigenfactor, SJR, SNP are used to determine the impact of the journals. These are generally linked to the citation rates for articles published in the journal. These metrics help us to judge the quality of the most of the journal. A high impact factor indicate that paper published in this journal have higher citation compared to the other journal. Usually, the more are these indicators, values, the better is the quality of the journal. But it depends on a lot of variables like subject area, publication date, and so on. Okay. The next tip is acceptance rate. Acceptance rate means the number of manuscript, accepted for publication relative to the total number of manuscripts submitted to the journal. Acceptance and rejection rates are not normally provided by a journal, but a few journals provide this information. In the study, which is conducted by Bjork in 2019, the overall acceptance rate is considered between 35 to 40%. However, the acceptance rate varies between different subject areas, so that the field of biomedicine is better than social science. Also, open access journals usually have a higher acceptance rate in comparison with subscription-based journal. And you should know that the top journals in some subject areas have an acceptance rate of about 5%. Journals with low article acceptance rates usually are more reputable journals. Here I provided two websites. These two websites give us some information about acceptance rate, review time, and publication time that can help us when we want to select a journal. Journal Insight, in this journal we can find some useful information about only Elsevier journals, such as acceptance rate, journal impact, review speed, and publication time. Another website is scirev.org, which is in fact this website is a social network where the researchers share their opinions and experiences in working with journals and rate them. Average review time. In fact, the average number of weeks it takes for an article to go through the editorial review process. There are two key periods from manuscript submission to the initial decision on the article. There are two key periods from manuscript submission to the initial decision on the article, and from manuscript submission to the final editorial decision. Let's check out this website. In this slide, I searched the Immunobiology journal. For finding journal, after you open the website, you can easily type your journal in this box, and after that, you can see the information, more information about this journal. I search immunobiology journal. This is the profile of this journal, and again, I have to you have to consider that in this website, this website only covers Elsevier journal. This is some metrics about that journals like CITE score, and as shown in this slide, we can see it for 5 different years, and there is another metrics such as impact factor or SJR, SNP in this website. And in this section, you can get more information about CITE score. In this slide, you can see this information in tabular format and more details about the metrics. This graph shows us some useful information about review speed of the journal, immunobiology journal. As can see, the green part shows the average number of weeks takes to get first decision about submitted manuscript, and the white part or gray part shows us the average time takes from first decision to final decision. This is a table of data about review speed of the immunobiology journal. And here you can read this part and get more information about review speed. The average number of weeks an article takes to reach key points in the online publication process is online article publication time. There are 2 key periods from manuscript acceptance to the first appearance of the article online. In fact, the green part, and from manuscript acceptance to the final appearance online of the fully paginated article or whiteboard. And here is the tabular data of that publication time for given journal. These figures shows the location of corresponding author. As you can see, Iran country has rank 15 with 9 authors in the journal, in this journal. This figure indicates worldwide usage for this journal at a country or region level. the usage number calculate based on the number of download, full text download. This is the interface of Cirev website that you can easily search a journal in the designated field here, or you can search a discipline here and find a specific journal. To this slide, I searched the Journal of Nature Genetics. In the Cirev rating, as you can see, 7 users rate this journal in different factors. Okay, some journal record the history of publication of each published article. Users can easily check and see this information in detailed page of each article. This is an example of article publication history of Wiley publisher. As shown in this slide, the time of when the manuscript received by the journal until the article published online has recorded by the journal. Some journals record the acceptance rate and average publication time of their articles and presented in their website under journal statistics or journal metrics section. In this example, I presented BMJ Quality Safety Journal. For this journal, acceptance rate is 11%. Time from submission to first decision is 22 days, and the time from acceptance to publication is 40 days, 14 days. Some journals display information about the time of publication of each article in full text of the article and before the abstract. This is the full text of an article, and you can see this information here. The frequency of a journal or the publication frequency of a journal can be weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, or annually. The publication lag time for monthly publications is usually lesser than that for a quarterly journal. And journals that publish articles weekly or monthly have a higher turnover and workflow. So these journals are more probable to be accepted your manuscript. Number of published articles in each issue is another important factor to choose a journal. Journals that publish many articles in each issue are more likely to accept your manuscript. You can check out this info in archive of the journal. Check whether the journal is subscription based or an open access publication. Sometimes a journal is hybrid. It means that you can choose whether your article published open or not. If the journal is open access, check out the APC or article processing charge of the journal. Some journal charge fees for various process, including submitting a manuscript or accepting a process, number of pages, or something like this. This information are should be provided in the journal author guideline. But for get more information about these fees, you can also send an email to the editor-in-chief of the journal. Check that your country has already published an article or some articles in that journal. If some articles from your country were published in that journal, it is a good sign that the journal is not biased towards your country. And the last one is be aware of predatory journal or fake journal. Predatory journals are journals that actively solicit manuscripts and charge publication fees without providing robust peer review and editorial services. Such deceptions are a hallmark of predatory journal and commonly include promising a peer review, fake impact factor, fake editors, and even misleading journal names uncannily similar to well-known legitimate journal. These are features of predatory journals that can help us to distinguish between fake journal and valid journal. These journals usually have no any peer review process. The editorial board member are fake. The speed of publication in this journal is very fast. This journal has a fake journal impact factor or journal impact. These journals charge publication fees, but these fees are lesser than the fees that open access journals receive from author. There are no information about ethics, and they usually do not have a system for receiving articles and receive articles via email. As I mentioned before, these journals frequently request to submit an article to the journal. These journals ignoring the quality of the received articles. Usually these journals dependent on developing countries, and the appearance of the journal website wasn't good, and the existence of spelling and grammatical problems on the journal page. The URLs they provide on the website are incorrect and the email are usually related to general email provider like Yahoo and Google. Here is a list that have been created by Jeffrey Bill and shows the potential journal and publishers, shows the potential predatory journal and publishers, and you can see this website and check your journal with the list and make sure that your journal isn't predatory journal. Journal blacklist has been developed by Iran Ministry of Health and Medical Education and updated and regularly identified predatory journals. In this website, you can easily search the journal and find out that the journal is fake or not. In this part, I want to talking about ways that we can use to find a journal. There are several ways that can potentially help us to find the right journal. I want to introduce some common ways in this section. The number one is receiving the guidance and help from research colleagues, supervisor, advisor, professors, or even librarians. Is the most important way to find a suitable journal. Another way to find the right journal is journal subject categories in a reputable database such as Web of Science, JCR, Journal Citation Reports, Scopus or sources section in Scopus, SJR or SciMago or SciMago journal rank, journals in NCBI, DOAJ or Directory of Open Access Journal, and Resource Finder. I will explain more about it later, and these subject guides usually categorize journals by subject area, so that we can find a list of journals that are in a subject area, and we can choose between them. The following are some of them that I introduced to you. JCR or Journal Citation Report is an annual publication by Clarivate Analytics, or previously known as ISI, Institute for Scientific Information. It provides information about academic journals, including impact factor, or some bibliographic information like publisher, title abbreviation, language, ISSN. Sources section in Scopus, all available sources, source titles in Scopus are listed on the sources page. You can search for a source by entering a subject area or title or publisher or ISSN. A source details page lists basic source information and journal metric scores for Scopus journals, book series, and trade publications. SJR or Schemago journal rank or Scimago journal rank is another category that it uses the Scopus data, but it is freely available, and you can search by category and country to find the appropriate journal. Journals in NCBI, in this journal guidance, you can simply search and find journal that's indexed in Medline, PubMed, or PMC. Directory of open access journal just stores and organize open access journals. So if you want to find an open access journal, you should search in this directory. Finally, the resource finder is an Iranian website which stores and organizes data of journals in Scopus, Web of Science, and PubMed. This website provides some information about journals and some metrics for each journal. This is a homepage of journal citation report from Web of Science database. If you want to access this database, you should click on journal citation report, a link at the top of the page. In this page, you can see the journals and some information about each journals. The journal, they sorted by default the default sort of these journals based on journal impact factor, and you can change it by another metrics. In this slide, I searched the information science and library science from select category section. In fact, I want to show you how many journal index in this category and get some more information about each of them. In this slide, after I check the category, these are the information science and library science category journals. There are some filters at the left of the page, like quartile, that I can elect to refine the result. As I mentioned, you can search for a source by entering a subject area or title or publisher or ISSN in a sources section of Scopus database. You can find this section by clicking on sources link in the top of the page, at the top of the page. I want to search by subject area, and I select subject area here, and then I can type my subject area or browse the defined subject area here. I selected hematology as a subject area here, and I want to see all journals belong to this subject area. In this slide, we can see the result, and there are 211 results for this category. This is the homepage of SJR website. This website gets its data from Scopus, but this is free and you can use it from anywhere. In this slide, I searched medicine category and hematology subject area, and I selected Iran as a country of this journal, and finally I clicked the search button. As you can see, Iran country has had two journals with these filters in Scopus database. For accessing the journals that index in PubMed, you should click on the journals under Explore option in PubMed website. Now in this page, you can write a journal title or abbreviation or ISSN and find your favorable journal. PubMed doesn't categorize journals in a predefined category. You just can write the title of your journal or the topic of your journal and search in this database. This is a DOAJ or directory of open access journal. As I mentioned, you can, if you want to find the open access journal, you need to search in this database. This page shows us the categories in this website, and you can search and find the journals with these categories. And finally, this is a resource finder website that you can search by category and with title of a journal or ISSN or publisher. In this slide, I selected cardiology category for finding journals in this category. And these are the cardiology journal. Another ways to find the journals is check the article reference list. By review the references, you can another way to find the right journal is to review and assessment the references used in your manuscript. This part is a good source of information, and you can refer to this section and review the journals that published articles in reference list, and finally choose relevant journal between them. As you know, researchers typically work on a specific subject area, and they have a research line. You can find authors in the field of your manuscript, and figure out where they have been published their articles. And the last item is journal finder system. These systems are designed and developed to help researchers to find suitable journals in accordance of their manuscript text and topic. These systems usually use this system usually use textual similarity algorithms to find journals and finally present a ranked list of journals to use. The following are the names of some of these systems, and in the following we will get familiar with their functions. Elsevier Journal Finder belongs to Elsevier publisher and suggests Elsevier journals. Jane, this system implemented on PubMed database and suggests journal from this database. Manuscript Matcher belongs to Web of Science and Clarivate Analytics and suggests journals from Web of Science core collection. Ashbringer Journal Finder, this website was developed by Ashbringer publisher, and Journal Guide gets its data especially from Scopus database. This is Elsevier Journal Finder website. As you can see in the picture, this website gets some information like title, abstract, and keywords from users, and according to this data, suggests some journals that fit with your input data. You can also refine your search to get more relevant journal with publication type, open access or subscription-based journal with a site score or impact factor, and as well as with review speed and time to publication. In this slide, I put some I put some text to this website, and finally I click the Find Journal button. This is a result page for my input data. These journals were ranked by text match. That similar to relevance concept. This is Jane or journal author name estimator interface. It is it's very simple. It just has a box for inserting your text. You can easily put your text in the box, and after that you can select the Find Journal icons. The system recommends you some relevant journal based on your manuscript text. In this slide, I inserted a part of a manuscript to a box. And this is a ranked list of journal according to my text. One of the interesting features of this system is showing similar articles that you can check and review it to get ensure about the scope of the journal. You can easily, by clicking on show articles, you can see the relevant article with your input text. If you want to access the Manuscript Matcher, you need to select EndNote icon at the top of the Web of Science website. After that, you must have an account to get access to this system. Then you can select match to navigate to these systems. This is a Manuscript Matcher as shown in the screen. For getting list of journal recommendation, you should put some text in the field of title and abstract. Another system in this context developed by Ashbringer publisher. This system recommends journals from Ashbringer publisher and BMC. In this system, you can define some filters to refine recommendation list by impact factor, acceptance rate, time to first decision. This is an example that I put some text in the systems, and this is the result page of a system that recommends some journal according to my input text. And the last system is a journal guide. In this system, like previous system, you should insert some text to the system and retrieve relevant journal. In this slide, I inserted my text in designated fields. And this is a list of results that you can use these journals. Here is a list of resources that were used in this presentation, and some resources that are helpful for getting some more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dehtari, for your for presenting interesting topics. Please, if you have questions, please raise your hand. And for reminding, please fill the form if you want to get certification.
Dr. Sheikh Shoy, I don't have your voice. I can't hear your voice. Can you check the microphone?
How to check comparators and backfactor if you don't have a subscription? How to find the title for an individual matcher subscription? They don't have organization subscription.
You can use you can go to the web page of the journal. Journals usually put these metrics on their websites, and if you are in Iran, you can use rsf.research.ac.ir or Resource Finder. This website help you to find these metrics easily.
Maybe obtain the presentation file review later for a slide. You can get them.
I can hear.
Get your slides.
Yes, it's not a problem. I give it to the Miss Sadr.
They say thank you for your presentation. Thank you so much. About sharing their slides.
What?
Only about sharing their slides.
Thank you.
Does he have any raising hand? Can you hear me? Ms. Sadeghi, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
I didn't see any raising hand. Can you see?
No, I can see. I don't think our audience has raised the hand, but we have questions in the chat box. We can
Yes,
cover
I
that
asked
questions.
them. Yes, I asked them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you don't have any question, we can end the webinar. And we have a request. Everybody, please turn on your videos for taking a photo. If it is possible for you, please turn on your videos for taking a photo.
Please turn on your webcam. Please, all participants, turn on your webcam. We want to take a photo. For reminding, if you want to get certification, please fill the form.
Let me to take the photos. Wait a minute.
شما همه رو می‌بینید.
Let me. Thank you for your patience. Okay, thank you very much.
I would like to thank Dr. Sheikh Shoai and Dr. Shahmuradi for helping me in this webinar, and I would like to thank all of you to participate in this webinar. Take care.
Thank you, Dr. Dehtari and Dr. Fatemeh Sheikh Shoai as a facilitator. And also, thank you from Mrs. Sadeghi in International Paris. Thank you. And just say goodbye.
Goodbye.